Welcome to the Journal Editorial Report. I'm Paul Gigot. Another big shakeup in the Trump campaign this week, with the Republican presidential nominee promoting veteran GOP pollster Kellyanne Conway to campaign manager and appointing Stephen Bannon, chairman of the conservative media outlet Breitbart News, to campaign CEO. In Cleveland Wednesday, Democratic rival Hillary Clinton said the changes really don't change a thing.
I think it's fair to say that Donald Trump has shown us who he is. He can hire and fire anybody he wants from his campaign. They can make him read new words from a teleprompter. But he is still the same man who insults Gold Star families, demeans women, mocks people with disabilities, and thinks he knows more about ISIS than our generals.
Joining the panel this week, Wall Street Journal columnist and deputy editor Dan Henninger, columnist Jason Riley, and Kim Strassel, and associate editorial page editor James Freeman. So, Kim, let's take these personnel changes first. Excuse me. Do these choices, can they make a difference in the campaign?
Well, look, they seem to have made some difference so far. What we've seen this week is a Donald Trump who has been reading from script in a more disciplined manner. We saw Donald Trump in Charlotte, North Carolina, who actually expressed regret for some of the comments that he'd made and started talking about how this needed to be a campaign that pulled people together. We know that he's going to be giving a series of policy speeches over the next couple of weeks that touch on immigration and education reform. So this is a different Donald Trump, and you see the influence of Kellyanne Conway and Steve Bannon. Well, the question is, can he stay on track?
Right, but I want to distinguish here between Bannon and Conway, because Kellyanne Conway, I think we saw her hand in some of that language in the Charlotte speech. What skills, experience does she bring to the Trump campaign?
Look, she is more of a veteran person in politics. She's worked on a lot of campaigns, interestingly, with kind of anti-establishment characters in the past, so she's comfortable in that realm. She's very knowledgeable about the women's vote. She's made a kind of study and an art of it. And her goal is to try to, I think, maybe make Donald Trump not just more rigorous and disciplined, but humanize his campaign a little bit and make it more optimistic. She said as much.
That's not Steve Bannon's forte. Dan.
Well, Steve Bannon's forte is to appeal to unionized Democrats, blue-collar workers, the forgotten people, as Trump describes them. And I think what we're seeing here is that Trump has finally figured out that he's not going to win merely with the base that provided him the victory in the primaries. That's 35 or 40% of the vote. The opinion polls show that you lose if that's all you get in the general election. So now, I read that speech, and where he talks about the system being rigged, that's Bernie Sanders. When he attacks Washington insiders, that's Ted Cruz.
But those are old messages. It's the regret and the inclusiveness of the Charlotte
I'm talking
speech.
About the base he's trying to assemble. Okay. And I agree that then Kellyanne Conway adds something with the Republican women. So clearly, Trump has figured out that he needs to go beyond the primary base.
What about the Bannon appointment?
This is desperation on the part of Donald Trump, shaking up his campaign this close to Labor Day, which is really the beginning of the home stretch. You know, he's in trouble, and he knows it. I think this is something of a Hail Mary. Bannon, to me, signals that Trump wants to be Trump.
And that's what Trump said.
Bannon runs Breitbart, a website that, if anything, thinks Trump has been too mild-mannered and measured up until now, if you watch their coverage of the campaign. So this is someone, I think, who wants Trump to continue running the campaign he ran in the primaries, and that's what he surrounded himself with. I think Kellyanne Conway, we all know her. We've known her a long time. Very respected pollster, but she's not a campaign manager. This is going to be new for her. She's going to have to adjust to this.
I don't think she's going to.
We'll see.
I think that's her title, Jason. I don't think she's going to manage the campaign. I think she's going to try to improve and refine the message.
Right, but campaigns are about the candidate, and there's only so much advice Trump seems willing to take.
There's no question about that, and he'd have to. But here's what's surprising to me. Trump said when he made the appointments, "I'm not going to pivot. I don't want to pivot. I'm not changing. I'm the same person." And then he gives that speech, which is a different person.
Yeah,
at least it's different rhetoric. And if he stays with, in my view, if he had given that speech at the convention, and then that had been the speech for the last 3 weeks, I think this campaign could be in a different place.
Yeah, it was a very effective speech. It was a speech to all the people. to the forgotten people who aren't Washington insiders, but to all Americans.
Right.
And I think there was something in there for all Americans to appreciate. And that's why I think this has been a good few days. I think Trump has benefited from creating a structure now. You don't want too much management in top campaigns. You don't want them to be bureaucratic, but he needed a staff beyond his own instincts going out on Twitter. So I think if you think of Kellyanne Conway as competently allowing him to speak to a broader audience, maybe Bannon's role is to more precisely target the case against Hillary Clinton. This could be a big win.
All right. He's also rolling out his first ads in the campaign. Let's listen to the first one.
In Hillary Clinton's America, the system stays rigged against Americans. Syrian refugees flood in. Illegal immigrants convicted of committing crimes get to stay, collecting Social Security benefits, skipping the line. Our border open, it's more of the same, but worse. Donald Trump's America is secure. Terrorists and dangerous criminals kept out. The border secure. Our families safe. Change that makes America safe again. Donald Trump for president.
Kim, first of all, just running ads is a step forward for the Trump campaign, because he hasn't run any so far in the general election. But what do you make of that message? That's not the message of Charlotte. That's the Trump of anti-terror in the primaries.
Yeah, it's the Trump, too, that is trying to play off grievances out there, a general sense of malaise among voters, that they're not moving forward, that there's a sense of disorder out there in the world. I mean, there's an element of optimism to the ad, too, in that it is presenting at least a future in which they're saying that the world will be better under Trump. It's not very specific on how that would happen, but this is sort of more the Donald Trump of the primary.
Anybody else have a take on this, James?
Well, look, this is a winning issue for him as far as limiting immigration from parts of the world with a history of terrorism. He said in North Carolina, and it dovetails with that ad, we're not going to let in people who think Sharia law supplants the U.S. Constitution. I don't know anyone who could disagree with that statement. And you look at polls, this is a winning message. I'm for immigration. Let's have immigration, but keep out jihadists.
All right, thank you all. When we come back.